Okay, my name is Rishi Matthew, and I'm CEO of Keepe, a Seattle-based startup focused on home improvement. This presentation is sponsored by Michael Cockridge, so thank you very much, Michael. If you're a homeowner, this should look really familiar to you. These jobs, in general, don't take a lot of time to get done, but for someone with a busy family and work life, this can be really at the bottom of the priority list. So homeowners keep putting it off until something is broken or someone is mad. From our research, we learned that the #1 reason homeowners procrastinate small jobs is because of the lack of speed and convenience when it comes to getting a handyman. So it naturally begs the question, why is it so inefficient? Well, it basically comes down to this. The planning, scheduling, and negotiation with a handyman can be extremely cumbersome for the average homeowner. Now, some of the startups in this space have tried to eliminate a few of these steps, but the industry is dominated by the big jobs, such as remodels and renovations. So a solution catering to these type of jobs have a completely different set of desirable attributes that typically foster a tighter connection between the homeowner and the contractor. However, for small jobs that generally take less than 2 hours, the desirable attributes are completely different. We believe there's a huge opportunity here, and the right solution will need to minimize the overhead for the consumer. This is what we are doing with Keepe. Keepe is an on-demand mobile app that enables a homeowner to request a handyman at the tap of a button. Our promise is that the handyman, or keeper, as we like to call it, arrives within an hour. So let's see how it works. For a small home improvement project, the consumer opens up the app. There's a video that's supposed to play here. The consumer opens up the app. Okay. Okay, we'll just go for it. The consumer opens up the app, takes a picture, and submits the request. An available keeper on the other side takes a look at the incoming job, accepts the request, and then heads on over to the consumer's house. Once the job is completed, the payment happens through the app. There is no planning, no scheduling, no negotiation needed. We believe the on-demand nature of Keepe is a game changer for this category. So let's compare it to our closest competitor. If you were to request a handyman with TaskRabbit, the earliest you could have one in theory is 4 hours later. However, practically, it's more like 2 days or so. We believe that's too long of a wait time for a small job, and is one of the primary reasons that homeowners procrastinate in the first place. We validated the need for our solution by doing a very simple Google ad test. Now, this is a very knowledgeable audience, but for those who don't know, the average click-through rate for a Google ad like this is about 2%. That's what Google says. eMarketer puts it at a more conservative 0.44%. When we ran our ad, we got a click-through rate of 7.2%. I have done marketing for a long time, and I've never seen anything like that. Now let's turn our focus towards contractors. Our pitch to contractors or to prospective handymen is simple. Make more money on your own schedule, and there are no upfront costs or fees to you. The simplicity of this pitch has helped us build a very robust pipeline in just the last 8 weeks, and our pace is accelerating. We obviously love the existing market opportunity. Additionally, the mega trend of on-demand services is favorable, which should help us unlock dormant jobs as well as new consumers. Our business model is similar to other on-demand services, and we expect to extract value from the increased speed and convenience that we are bringing to this industry. We launched a closed beta in Seattle 3 months ago with a limited number of early adopters, and we've gotten great benchmarks for our KPIs. We've also gotten great qualitative feedback. Our consumers love the product because it's faster and more convenient, and contractors love it because it's great value for their downtime. We have a great team in place to execute on our vision. I was an executive at a consumer software company for a $50 million line of business. Vishal, my co-founder, was chief software architect at 2 software companies before he came and joined me full-time. And Ari has 10 years of background in the handyman contracting space. So it's not just 2 Indian dudes going and asking contractors to come join us. We believe now is the right time to get investors involved. So we are raising $1 million seed round so that we can launch our public beta in Seattle and get to a milestone of 10,000 jobs completed. So in summary, for small home improvement jobs, the future is Keepe. Come join us. Thank you very much.
So 2 questions for you. The first is, do the economics on a job, kind of single job, make sense for contractors for these types of small jobs? Things like, for example, changing a light bulb. Would the time and gas they spend on driving to your house and back make sense for them for the amount of money they're going to get on for the job? And then the second question is kind of related to that. How do you price these things? Yeah.
So those are both great questions. I'll address the first one first, which is it worth it for them? So if you go back to the status quo, it is currently not worth it for most contractors to go bid for any jobs that are below 4 hours. It just doesn't make sense because not all bids complete into actual jobs. With this, it is different because first of all, they have an app. We use their geolocation to actually match them with jobs that are closer to them. So they are actually technically not spending a lot of time traveling and doing busy work. Second, it's on their downtime. So where they don't have their existing clients. So they're not, they don't have existing clients that they're working for. And so we are targeting just their downtime. So they have to set their availability to on, and that's when jobs start coming to you. And the other piece that is important here is this is not a lead. This is an actual job. So the consumer is ready to go, right? And so it is literally 100% conversion for that lead.
And how do you price?
So the question was about price. We price at $75 an hour, but it is prorated to the minute. So if you spend 20 minutes, you only pay for 20 minutes. We made it very consumer-friendly because we believe that there are a lot of barriers to entry for the consumer, and we want to remove those barriers.
$75 an hour, did I hear that right?
Yes.
Wow. So, okay. The woman in the home, for me, issue is security. So what have you done to screen the contractor to make sure that he's a safe person to be in my home, A, and B, that he's qualified to do what I need done?
Yes. So let me address the $75 an hour first.
Yeah.
Typically, what happens is, so it's prorated to the minute. So if it sounds better, it's $1.25 per minute, but it's the same thing. What typically happens is if you have to look at the alternative, you go on Craigslist and somebody comes in and you have a thing that you need to fix urgently, you're typically getting gouged. Because once they're in the house, they know that you will accept typically any price that they offer. I mean, you may bargain a little bit, but when we looked at it from a long-term perspective and in terms of testing the market, Seattle is $100 an hour. So that's what we've priced it against for handymen to come over and do the job. For plumbers and everything, it's $250 an hour. So to answer your second question, which is how are they qualified? So first of all, they have to be licensed, bonded, and insured, which is basically state law in Washington state. On top of that, we do background checks, extensive background checks on them. So criminal checks as well as driving records and things like that. And then we also do a personal interview. At least at this point of time, we're doing it in an unscalable way. Long term, that may change, but at the point of starting, we are saying we're curating them to a certain extent so that they can not only do the job, but also they are presentable. Yes.
So I would imagine that most people who have used the service, if there's somebody that has performed very well for them, they'd be more inclined to have the same person back on a scheduled basis than to have a random person on an immediate basis. Do you provide that capability?
Not at this point of time, but that's one of the things that we've been asked quite a bit, which is a familiar face kind of a thing, where they get to choose the same guy to come back. From a product perspective, what we value more at this point of time is the immediacy part of it. So, having that ability to get somebody within an hour is kind of what consumers prefer over getting a familiar face, at least at this point of time.
How are you going to scale to different markets? Over here. How are you going to scale to different markets, and are you going to use a franchise model for that?
Yeah, I mean, I have an appendix slide. We are building an operations engine, so to speak, because this is a very operations-driven space. So you have to get the playbook right in a local market first before you expand to other cities. So we are going to go after each city by city. So get the playbook right in Seattle, then launch a different city that has somewhat similar characteristics, and then test whether that playbook actually works, and then expand from there.
I'm trying to understand how you would ensure to not have a broken experience, in the sense that, if this is a contractor on his downtime, his or her downtime, $75 an hour, be there in an hour, and I just can't do it, and the user has a bad experience, but that reflects on your brand. So how do you address a situation like that?
Yeah, so there are a couple of things. In the short term, and I think there is a short-term answer to it and a long-term answer to it. The short-term answer to it is, we are obviously coaching and guiding these contractors to tell them exactly how the product is supposed to work, both the online experience and the offline experience. So they know that once they accept the job, the contractor app tells them exactly how long they have to get there. So it's a time-based thing. And in the end, the consumer gets a vote, right? And they get a rating, a 1 to 5 star rating, which is completely subjective. And once they rate, that creates a ranking algorithm on our side to make sure that we can give feedback to contractors, make sure that they can improve, and also send the best contractors to our best clients.
A question over here. There are many different types of expertise that are needed for different types of jobs, and some require specific licensing, like plumbing and electricians. Yes. How do you allocate jobs based on expertise?
So every contractor has to fill out their skill set, and if they have plumbing or electrical licenses, that's something that we can cross-check with state databases. Washington even has an API where you can check their licenses. And so if it is a plumbing job, then we will only send it out to plumbers. So our ranking algorithm takes into consideration what their skill sets and what their licenses are, or what jobs they're licensed to do.
Then is flat rate really the right way? Because if I were a licensed plumber and electrician, to be billed out at the same rate as somebody with no training would be annoying.
Yeah, so that's a great point. And just to add to we have 2 tiers of pricing. So one is a $75 general for everybody. For electricians, plumbers, and HVAC guys, we have a different tier, which is $135 an hour.